Welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show where we cover movie reviews and movie news. It is a fun time every week. We start with spoiler-free up front, and then we get into spoilers. But I guess I should introduce who we are. I'm your host, the man tethering you to the foundation of reality, Garrett Ray. And joining me, it's a guy who probably has had frog legs at some point in his life, but not in the same way that happened in this week's movie. It's
Don't
Andy
count
Delia.
on it. Thanks, Garrett.
Welcome back, Andy. Every
Thank
week
you.
we sit down, we have a lot of fun. It's a good time. This week we are talking about a horror film, second one in 2 weeks. And this week it is Never Let Go. This is a movie that I didn't watch the trailer for, so I went in completely blind, basically. Wow. You kind of knew what was going on.
I knew exactly what I was in for.
Okay.
Well, kind of. The trailer for this is very different than the actual film.
I wondered about that.
Yeah.
Because this is one of those movies that, I guess, let's get into spoiler free.
Okay.
But yeah, this is one of those movies that really is doing more than the average horror flick is.
This actually requires a lot of thought.
Yeah. Which I think is definitely in its favor.
Yes.
But yeah, let's. We always start with your thoughts, so I'm going to shut up.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut my stupid mouth. Andy, what are your thoughts on Never Let Go?
I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was compelling. There's a couple, I kept even thinking about this last night, even when I got up this morning, about another different scenario that I thought might have been plausible for the film that it was trying to say. But I like the director. Alexander Aja is one of my favorites in the genre. He's done his first film that he ever did was a movie called High Tension that I absolutely loved. And
I have heard people talk about that. Yeah,
I helped Lionsgate with screenings in Pittsburgh for that, and it was very sad that I had to explain the ending to people, which I was like, "Really, you didn't get that?"
Well, I mean, to be fair, people,
but
people are dumb.
Yeah, he's done a couple of he did the Hills Have Eyes remake, which is really good.
Mirrors, which I've heard people both love and hate. Mirrors
is okay. Oculus is a lot better, in my opinion.
Don't think I've seen that.
And it's actually one of the same kind of horror film like Mirrors is, but a lot better.
Okay,
and then Crawl was they think the last thing Alexander Aja did. That actually is a lot of fun. And it's pretty good.
Yeah, Crawl I heard people really loved. He did something after that called Oxygen, which was a Netflix film.
Oh, that I haven't seen.
But it is, that one's French language. That's probably part of why.
Yeah, High Tension is part English, part French.
Okay, gotcha. So it's Canadian.
Oh, okay.
No, not really. I was just saying that.
Oh.
Because
there's French Canadian.
Exactly. In certain parts of Canada, they wee.
Yes.
And in other places, they just piss.
In snow.
And that's what the main capital is like, from what I heard.
Oh, okay.
There was a joke in there somewhere.
There was.
I laid the pieces out.
I grazed on it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, if you could just assemble that for yourself, that'd be fantastic. I have barely slept in the last week. I'm exhausted, so forgive me if my brain's a little fried.
And then we got movie marathon coming up this week too.
I know. If I wasn't so tired, this would be the best week of my life.
That's what you said last night, and I was like, oh man, I feel bad.
No, it's okay. This is good. I need something to kick me out of. You ever get in that kind of mode where you're just like, I'm really struggling to just move and just do.
Yeah.
And just I feel pointless and useless.
I had that here when we had Deadpool. Because we were so busy and I was so tired.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't want to get out of my chair. I really don't. Do I have to count money today? Really? Is that my job today?
Can't we just trust that the employees are
not stealing?
People of their word? But yeah, I think this film, it surprised me in a lot of ways. It was definitely it's very tense the whole way through. There's no doubt about that. And I think that it kind of builds a mystery around what's going on. And in interviews with the director and stuff, I was watching one right before we started recording.
Oh, okay.
And he was talking about how they very much wanted to protect that element of it, which is that you can kind of interpret it in your own way.
I really love films that do that, and that's why I really like this. And not everything is spoon-fed to you.
Yes,
it's very different than Speak No Evil too. Speak No Evil is laid out and played out, and everything is. This one isn't, and it's left to a lot to your imagination and how you interpret things and how you interpret what you're actually seeing. I love films that do this. I really do.
Yeah, and I think that, Speak No Evil is a good kind of counterpoint to this because it seems like almost a similar movie, but they're so incredibly different because Speak No Evil is about a theme, the theme of stand up for what for your family. That's basically the theme. I know there's you get what I'm saying. It's very laser focused on why aren't you doing the thing you should be doing to protect your family.
Right.
And in this movie, it's very much focused on here is this scenario that brings up a lot of themes and exploring those things a little bit through the eyes of these characters, and kind of making you have questions surrounding protection and faith and spirituality and all these things. And I think it's a deeper film on that level, and it can come off kind of pretentious when someone goes, "Oh, this is a deep film. This is a thinking film." Whoa, but it is.
I didn't mean to sound pretentious when I said that.
No, I don't think. I think we both know we're not being pretentious about it. But I think other people will call us pretentious because we're two white dudes talking about this being a thinking man's film.
Yeah, but Halle Berry's performance is engaging. The two kids that were in it were really good too. Yeah. Then it's good to see like the child actors that we're seeing a lot lately from Speak No Evil in this actually. Yeah. Are worth your time in watching, and they're not just annoying. Like
it's not like watching what's that John Cena one with the firehouse?
Oh, Playing with Fire.
Playing with Fire. Yeah, it's not like that.
One of my son's favorite films. He loves it. Yeah. I hate that movie with a passion.
Man, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that exact sentence on this podcast. I could probably afford to pay rent. This one, though, definitely would be something that Drew hates. He would not like this. I don't think this would be up his alley.
Drew's not going to understand this for first off, and he's only 11. So.
And it's tough to talk about it specifically because they're, without spoilers.
Right.
The ideas that it's playing with are very much like you need to talk about specific instances in the movie. I do want to say that, it kind of opens with a good deal of voiceover, kind of explaining things, which is normally
from the kids' point of view too, which is it can be a little put offish if you're expecting something really different than what you're about to see.
Yeah, and I think that I was just surprised enough at how the movie kind of went on from there, given the fact that it started with that voiceover. Because that made me go, oh no, a little bit, but it definitely challenges what you would expect from that. You can go, oh well, you can do that and still make a good movie. Most screenwriting things you'll learn and go, okay, that's a cop out. You should show not tell. I wrote a script that I worked on. I wrote the whole thing in 7 days, which was an insane challenge I set for myself. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But when I finally got to the point where it was like, oh, I'm pretty sure that I need to end this thing. I was like, how do I wrap this up? Voiceover. And I was 20 at the time. So
the basic story of this too, since to kind of explain this is,
yes, if you're not sure if you want to go see this,
right. So it's supposed to have taken place after the apocalypse. The only people left are Halle Berry and her two sons, and it's good versus evil. Like they are attached to rope to this house that is supposed to spiritually protect them from the evil that is in the world and keep them from killing each other.
Or physically protect them?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the basic story to this, and it just kind of goes from there.
Yeah.
So with that, without going into spoilers, that's the best description I can put for this film.
I would say, the ending certainly leaves you with a lot of questions. And it's if you're already stressed in life right now, probably don't watch this one right now.
Yeah, go see Speak No Evil. It's a lot more entertaining.
Right. Speak No Evil gave me a stress headache, but it was mostly because I was so mad at the characters for being stupid. This one is so different in that it's like, well, you're screwed no matter what. So how do you act in that situation? So I'm not angry at any of them at any time. I'm just worried about them.
So I started watching a documentary this week, and I got to bring it up, called Horror's Greatest on Shudder. And the first episode is cliches and tropes.
Yeah.
So it talks about, too, the one guy says, so how people think they're a lot smarter than the characters in the film, when actually when they're put into that situation, they're really not. So I wanted to bring that up because you were so mad at the character's actions last week.
Look, man.
Like, would Garrett really actually fend any better if he was in those situations?
I would have at least picked up the freaking shotgun off the floor. The one that was clearly sitting there
Okay,
that hadn't been fired.
Here's your blood pressure medication.
thank you.
Calm down.
I'm sorry, that was too stupid. It was too yes, I know adrenaline and in the moment you don't always make the right decisions. I totally get that. But they made a string of decisions so incredibly stupid that it was like watching Congress. Anyway,
I really wanted to I wanted to bring in my tablet and show you that, but I ran out of time. Sorry.
Well, I mean, look, I can't say that I would have made the right decisions in the moment, but I felt like I could have because while watching it, I was so incredibly stressed that I felt like I needed to get up and run. And I also felt that way in this one, but it does a good job of making you feel like you're trapped in it with them. And
and that's the great. I really like these horror films too that have these isolation settings in the woods. Like Strangers was a lot like that earlier this year too. And
I missed that one, but
the hopelessness and the confines of what you're presented with and which you actually get involved with by watching these movies. Never Let Go had the same impression on me, and I really like how filmmakers are doing that. It's really impressive that something in what's considered a outlaw genre almost, like horror films are not really widely, smiled upon.
Right. They're enjoyed, but they're not.
Nobody will admit to them,
right?
Other than myself. I still love horror films, even though most of what they come out with anymore is garbage.
Yeah.
But this is not the case of that. I really love the fact that it actually had me thinking.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely. By the time you get to the end, you're so invested in what are the answers? What are the questions I'm not even asking that I should be asking?
Right.
And I definitely, I wrote down all my notes last night. And then kind of went and looked up some other things that people had been saying because I thought the themes of the movie were interesting enough that I wanted to see kind of the discussion.
Yeah, I didn't read any reviews or anything on this.
Yeah, I didn't until after I had all my notes down. But there are some interesting takes on what it's about, and I think that coming from different backgrounds, you'll have a different reading on this.
Right.
My reading on this is that it is very focused on. Faith, blind faith, and
survival.
Perhaps even the importance of doubt as a part of your life and where that takes you. So there's a lot of interesting things in there that I definitely want to get into. But
faith, definitely,
yeah, for sure. And Halle Berry, in an interview I watched with her, she was talking about how it kind of touches on these aspects of family and motherhood and protection, but also spirituality and all these other things. And so, it was funny. I was watching. I was like, man, with just a few tweaks, this could be a Ted Dekker book. Ted Dekker he writes Christian horror, and so I grew up reading some of those books. Three is one of my favorite books. And horror. I don't think it's funny, mixing Christianity with horror, but if you think about it. If you believe that demons are real, if you believe that there is this Prince of Darkness who rules over the earth, that's pretty freaking scary.
There is no one without the other, and that's my ideology on all that too. If there's a heaven, that there has to be a hell, and there has to be a ruling force on that. Is in spirituality, there is a heaven and there is a God. There has to be another side to that.
Right. Otherwise. It's all just nihilism.
Right.
But yeah, this movie, I would say, it made me lose my appetite. I was enjoying my chicken tenders, and then I was not.
Until the kid ate the frog.
It was that, and then there was a moment with the crow that made me just go, I can't eat anything anymore.
Yeah.
It's not a terribly gruesome movie, but it doesn't pull any punches on it either.
And that's Alexander Ager's style of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Because that's high tension is pretty graphic. So is The Hills Have Eyes.
Okay.
Piranha definitely.
Now this is Piranha 3D, not Piranha 3 Double D.
No,
correct?
not the one with David Hasselhoff. It's Piranha 3D.
I remember hearing the name of Piranha 3 Double D and just was like, well, that's not something I'm going to watch.
Do you know what the story to that one is?
No, I don't.
The piranhas get into a water park.
Oh, my God.
And all the lifeguards are topless, and it's all these, chippy girls.
Uh-huh.
And David Hasselhoff is like the head lifeguard. And the only reason I haven't seen it, you know, I just laugh at it every time I saw it come out. My only reason for seeing that would be to see Hasselhoff get eaten.
Yes.
By a whole bunch of tiny little fishies.
That, or if at any point I fulfill my dream of starting like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 reboot.
Yeah. We could
another
do that.
Another reboot.
We could write our own material.
Oh my goodness, those guys are so good at it though. But yeah, I think that this is, man, you know, it's interesting. This is not a film I would naturally gravitate towards. From looking at because I watched the trailer now, and it definitely, there are shots in the movie that I'm like, that's trailer bait right there. That's all that is. And, you know, they were smart to do it because hopefully it gets butts in seats, but I think it is an interesting conversation starter. There's some stuff with the way that it's filmed and edited that makes me kind of feel like there are moments that probably could have been punctuated a little bit more. But I think it is a French movie style that there are some things that is just like, this is the mundanity of the moment.
Yeah, but it's not very long.
No, it's not that. I think it's just
I thought the pacing on this was actually pretty good.
The pacing is good, but there's moments where I'm like, ooh, a little. There just needs to be a cutaway to this certain thing to like really punch that moment a little bit more. But then at the same time, I understand why they didn't. I can't talk about it without spoilers, but it's not bad, but it is. See, I really thought different way than I would have directed some of those scenes. Go figure. But like, because I would have done it poorly. But there's just some moments where I'm just like, this could have had maybe a little bit more kick to it. But it's not wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
It's very much a choice, and it is a style, and I respect that, and it is doing exactly what it intends to do. But there were some moments where I was just like, a little bit more of a, you know.
And I think for that reason, it's probably going to turn a lot of audiences off. Maybe because this is not what they're buying their ticket money for.
It's not an action movie, fight evil, stuff in the woods.
It almost plays out kind of like Evil Dead did initially too, but in a different way.
I'm giving you the look of shame.
Why? Because I like Evil Dead?
I haven't seen the Evil Dead.
That doesn't surprise me.
I know it doesn't, but I do still feel shame anyway.
No, just Evil Dead started out with like this presence in the woods too, and so does this one, updated. And I think I have to look online to see if Sam Raimi has a take on this, because that was Sam Raimi's first film, and what got me to love him as a director.
Yeah.
Just because it was so low budget, but it did like massive amount of business, has a bunch of sequels now, and that's what he's noted for. 6 canceled TV shows at this point. Well, Ash vs. Evil Dead is the one that stuck, and the show's pretty funny.
It got canceled though.
Yeah, but so it's on Stars. Nobody watches it anyway.
Fair enough. Stars is still around.
Yeah,
we didn't even have it when I did have cable. I don't.
They're the worst like subscription. The only reason I have it is because my aunt and uncle let me have access to it.
There you go.
And they never add any films, and what they do add most of the time is not worth watching.
Yeah. Just like Paramount Plus.
I have Paramount Plus.
I do too, but I think I only have it because I get it through Walmart Plus. And I have Walmart Plus so I can get the discounted gas prices at Sam's.
Oh,
that's pretty much the only reason.
Yeah, I did that too.
But yeah, would you recommend this movie?
There's the question.
Oh, really? Okay, I thought this would be an easy yes for you. That's interesting.
I would, to people, forewarning them that it's not what you think it's going to be.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's a horror film. It's not like Friday the 13th or Halloween, and it's not horribly graphic. There are some parts that are tense.
Yeah.
But whatever you think that you know or think you know from watching the trailer, it is not it.
Yeah. There's almost a part of me that wonders if this is a movie that's better to go into almost completely blind. Like I did. Like I went in with no expectations.
No, considering Lionsgate's track record lately, I had low expectations for this, but it had Halle Berry. in Vegas when she was talking about it, she sounded very passionate about it. She sounded like she was really behind it, and she is the producer of this film.
Yeah.
And normally when an actor or actress gets a passion project like that, it doesn't turn out very well.
Yeah.
This is actually surprising, that instance where I thought it turned out really well.
Yeah.
And I liked it, but it's not. It's very hard for me to recommend this to somebody that's not knowing what to expect.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think for me if you're not the type of person who really, really, really hates horror films, I think it's an easy recommend for me, simply because I want to trick people into having to make a thought happen in their head. And so I think that this is one of those movies that really does. It reminded me that movies can be about things that aren't on screen.
Right.
If you look at Deadpool and Wolverine, it's a plot with jokes, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's fine.
Right.
I'm not knocking it for that. If you look at the Speak No Evil, is it really about something, or is it just saying, oh, look, you should probably learn to just say no when you're uncomfortable? That's a thing it's about, sure,
right.
But it's not. It didn't feel like it was digging deeper than that, if that makes
sense. Right. Or Afraid was kind of like along those lines too.
Afraid was entertainment with a cautionary tale about a technology we don't fully understand.
This one this week was really something out of right field for us that we weren't expecting. I thought you were really going to hate this, like walking into to record this today.
Well, I mean, there are parts of it I hate. I hate the bone crunching. I hate the there's not a lot of jump scares, but there's one at a certain point in time that
there's
really
a couple
just made me go like, don't do that to me.
My wife jumped.
I know.
Jessica jumped a couple. And then she's like, how are you not like getting scared? I'm like, Jess, how many horror films have I seen in my lifetime?
Yeah.
It's very hard to get that reaction out of me at this point. I am that desensitized.
I started to try and keep it from scaring me. I started trying to guess when it would happen and doing it before then to try to mess with my wife, because that would distract me from getting scared.
How did Hannah react to this? I'm curious to that.
Hannah said, and I quote, "That movie messed me up."
I feel bad now.
No, it's like I think we both enjoyed it on the level of like, oh, that was something to think about. And it's funny. Speak No Evil. We talked a long time about that last night. We were just too tired, but I think that this is something that we're going to we've got an hour car ride coming up, so we'll probably spend the whole time talking about.
Yeah,
this
because Jessica and I actually were up a little bit late last night talking about this.
It's so interesting. It really is, and I think it would be a recommend for me because I think it is an interesting piece of filmmaking, and it is something that makes you kind of have to confront some thoughts and about faith, about spirituality, about those things, and I applaud movies that ask the questions, you know, and are not afraid to do that and to still be entertaining at the same time, because there's no doubt this is entertaining.
Yeah, it is.
It is. So, you want to get into spoilers?
Yeah.
All right,
let's get into this.
Spoilers, everybody. So there is no specific answer for what the evil is, which is probably for the best, but also is frustrating.
And for the most of the film, you don't even think it exists, that it's all in Halle Berry's head.
Yeah. So the main thrust of this is Halle Berry crazy, and she's torturing these children, or is she protecting them from something that is an unimaginable horror? And it does not necessarily give you an answer.
Right.
The ending confused the ever-living crud out of me, and I loved it.
Right. So did I.
Yeah, it was just...
And it definitely has a bad guys win kind of ending, too, when you think about it.
Yeah. And I was watching that interview with the director and with Halle Berry, and all the news in this interview I found all on Joe Blow, so if anyone says anything terrible over there, we're not affiliated with them.
I did glimpse over Joe Blow's review of that this morning while I was eating breakfast.
Yeah.
I didn't read it word for word, but I think it touched on the basic things that I got out of this film as well, and what the reason I liked it.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went with that.
It's they were talking about it, and the director said that he met with Halle Berry, and she said, "Look, I just want to make sure that you're going to protect this character and the complexity of her, because she said, I don't want to end up having to be a nice, likable character just because the studio wants it." And she doesn't. I mean, she is gruff and rough, and I probably should have mentioned this earlier. This is a me thing. But I find it very difficult to tell if someone is doing a good job acting when they have that deep Southern accent. That's always been a thing with me specifically, where I'm just like, is it good acting or is it just a thick accent? I don't, I don't know. Her performance is really good, and I think the boys sell it for most part. Some of those times where things just kind of happen, I think were due to a couple of line deliveries that went flat. And I'm again, like we talked about this last week, I'm not looking to pick on a kid at any point. They are good, and there are definitely moments where you're like, oh, and so like 7 out of 10, was like what I would say. But there are those that 3 out of 10 where it's like, okay, you were told to be angry. Okay, fine. But then, when you get the turn of the quote unquote older brother who's 3 minutes older at the end, it's like, oh, that's a face that you got to go somewhere deep to make that face. Oh my gosh. And so I thought the performances, were really, really solid all the way around. The one that I in the moment wasn't sold on, but was after a certain twist, was when the daughter shows up, the hiker's daughter. Oh, yeah. You're kind of like, is this a stiff, stilted performance that I'm watching? And then you find out, oh no, it's the evil messing with them, and it's like, oh, yes, of course, that makes total sense that she was a little bit off.
Well, I kind of made fun of that going, well, did she come from the original Speak No Evil?
Did she look like the girl from the original?
Yeah, actually she did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, you got your tongue back and now you're heading into
Good
this
for
film.
You.
Okay.
I think that is it a slug thing, or was that a physical representation or a visual representation of something happening on a spiritual level? How did you take that?
Yeah, I thought it was just a physical manifestation of that.
So, but is it a physical manifestation that's actually happening, or is that just in his head and he's like, is that sort of he suffers from the same mental illness as his mother?
Well, that's kind of for you to decide. It could go either way.
Yeah, it could.
Like, it's got to look that way on film, or else you're going to be completely confused like 10 minutes later when certain things happen. So it has to be shown as a physical manifestation for you to get and understand everything that's coming after.
Right.
So I understand why they did that.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if it would leave you second guessing yourself a little bit more, though, if they hadn't seen it. If his eyes turned white after the touch or something, like if it was something a little less like oh, that could be completely in his head,
Yeah.
And so this movie really wants to toe the line between this is a post-apocalyptic situation and evil has overcome the world and these are the only people left. But also, it could just be mom is a schizophrenic and there is a history of mental illness running in this family and she's being tormented by this mental illness. And then because of that is, tormenting her own children. And the question is, the evil keeps saying, I'm going to make you eat your babies. And it's like, that's exactly the kind of thing mental illness would do. It would make you do things that would destroy your children, that would destroy your family.
And I like the time-lapse photography, too, as you see, like, their supplies are dwindling and going down. They're really facing some survivalistic...
It's a pretty looking movie. I did sometimes the dark scenes are a little darker than I'd like, but the house is decorated incredibly.
Yeah.
Everything, it feels very lived in. It feels very real. I love the moss on the roof and everything. There was the set deck is incredible.
That room in the basement where like she throws the kids to have like hallucinations pretty much. And the carving on the wood and everything to the door to that is I just really amazed at the attention to detail on that.
It feels so otherworldly. This whole thing, like you're like, okay, so this is Earth, this is the world, but it's gone and the only thing left is this weird sort of like cult house.
Right.
And again, like I said, with just a couple of small tweaks, a couple of little twists, this could be Christian horror. I mean, if it wasn't the wood, the house keeps us protected. If it was, we're tethered to this house because it's blessed ground or whatever, which is not
hollow ground.
And if they were surrounded by a burning bush, I don't know, but I think that. They're playing it loose with that so that it is a universal sort of thing. It's like the point is there is a place of protection and you need to be anchored to it. You need to be tethered to it because on your own you are subject to evil itself.
Right.
which, I was sitting there and I was watching it and I was like, that's kind of true, like if you don't have a foundation, if you're not tethered to a foundation, then it doesn't take much for you to, I like cocaine now.
Yeah,
and
cut the rope and...
Right. And so I thought that was really interesting. I think the rules are clear. They do a good job of like saying, this is the rule. You don't break it, never let go. They don't necessarily find a way to explain why that's safe. They say it's blessed wood, which I don't know what that means. Blessed by what? By whom? At what time? Was it like, did it happen during the pandemic and the Pope with the squirt gun got it with holy water? I don't know. That's a real thing. That's how they baptize babies during the pandemic. Did you ever see that?
No.
They had the parents,
with a squirt gun?
The Catholic Church, they have a little green squirt gun. Squirt, squirt, squirt. It's so funny.
That would have been even funnier if they had like a motorized one that looked like an Uzi. And the priest going, okay, 10 points, I get him in the head.
Padre, okay, in for the head, Padre.
Eminus Padre, Sancto, Splish Splash.
Splish Splash. Oh, man. The only thing funnier than the squirt gun to me is there was this one priest I saw baptizing children, and he was so violent with it. He just takes the baby, he's like, sploosh, splash, and then he hands it back to the parents like, get out of here. And it's just so incredibly violent.
Or like, next.
Yeah, he's just like, bring the next one up. I'm like, if I saw you try to drown a 6 months old.
Yeah, no way, Padre.
Yeah,
we'll wait for the next one.
We're going to go find a sink at a McDonald's or something. But, yeah. Can I borrow your squirt gun? We're supposed to be talking about the movie. My bad.
It's okay. This is why people tune into us.
Oh, absolutely. Or why they tuned out. Who can say?
Okay.
So how did... There's a point where Mama says that she's the one who brought evil back. That she's the one who brought them back. And there's this imagery of the snake throughout this, which again, is something that feels very Bible referential.
Right.
It's about this
original
sin and the Garden of Eden and how, the sins of one affect everyone who comes after them. There's definitely, there's strings in here of generational curses and how that between mental illness or just decisions we've made. And so there's a lot of questions about.
And her mother kept popping up too, and
her mother
which really perpetuated those scenes a lot.
I want to talk about that woman. Real quick, okay? Because that was disgusting. And if that had been the abomination at the end of Alien Romulus, it would have catapulted that movie into a new level of horror.
Yes.
Don't give me 7 foot tall Doug Jones after he's been locked in a basement for a year.
Give me an old, heavy set white woman with a forked tongue.
Yeah. That's the tongue, man. That was so
and
unsettling.
The voice.
Oh, yeah. So good.
So
what was it she said exactly to her in the shed?
You were a bad goat.
Bad little goat. That's what it was. Yeah, it's so unsettling.
The vocal effects on this too. That and Halle Berry's husband or ex-husband, and the sound effects they do with that. Like I always like little things like that in films that they do.
That growl that comes through, and then the mask starts to slip.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that stuff. I'm a sucker for that.
I do too. Yeah, I love it. I have I don't want to give too much away, but I have a short film I've been working on trying to figure out the VFX for like 2 years. And there's a dust bunny with the deepest voice in the world. Okay. And I cannot wait to finish that one. But yeah, there's some really, really interesting stuff there with the way that the evil kind of appears only to her. So she's the only one who can see it. The boys don't see it. Right. And she's talking about, she keeps telling them, well, that's because it doesn't want you to see it because it wants you to doubt me.
And then, it raises the questions of, well, is mom nuts?
Yeah.
And we don't see it. So how do we know? And starting to question authority as well. And how do you deal with that when you're like, I'd say these kids were like 9 or 10.
Yeah, somewhere in that range. Yeah. I think 10 was stated at some point. I think they said it had been in there for 10 years. At the very least, she said it in the interview that I watched. So I think 10. Yeah. I wonder about. Okay, so basically, she is here at the house which her dad built for her mother.
Right.
or her grandmother.
Grandmother.
It was grandmother.
Grandmother.
And we find out throughout the course of the film that she actually killed her grandparents.
Yeah.
And her mom.
Yeah.
And
well, she poisoned her mother.
Yeah.
Because
poison in my food.
Yeah. I
tasted the mic.
if they said how they killed the grandparents, I missed it.
I don't know if they did. I think they.
But it was definitely stated that she had killed her mother.
Yeah. Well, they definitely said when Nolan was asking Sam, like, do you think if it got us that she would kill us like she did with Grandma and Granddad?
Right.
Not the names they used, but I can't remember. And I only have the one set I remember very much. But that whole storyline kind of like, are we in danger from our own mother if she, someday thinks we got touched and we didn't? I think they make a big point out of when Nolan goes out without a rope in his sleep, and Sam wakes up to find Mama standing over Nolan with the knife, making him repeat the mantra, the magic words.
And I was always wondering throughout the entire film, I'm like, okay, what happens when you're supposed to get an adverse effect to saying these words? And I really wanted to see what was going to happen when that finally, because it had to lead up eventually to where you were going to get the opposite that was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there like that was my main curiosity.
Funny thing, it turns out it just ends up where it's like you're trying to talk and answer questions at the dentist. Just,
yeah.
How was your weekend? Oh, the evil got him. Get him out of here. Oh boy, man. This okay. So I want to see what you think about this. So the main thing that I got from this movie was that it seemed to be discussing the difference between blind faith and faith that is tested. So those who don't test their faith are likely to become what they hate simply because they fail when they're weakened. If their faith hasn't been tested at any point, then when they reach their weakest point, then they just will immediately fall for the first trick, the food. From the backpack. But those who have tested their faith may be more likely to be strong in the midst of adversity and reach those greater levels of faith to the point where they can overcome evil. But the movie's trying to say both that doubt is both what will kill you, but also what will strengthen you. I think so. It's not 100% clear on that message because it's like just the point in time when you doubt seems to be the deciding factor between these two boys. Because Sam follows his mother blindly to the letter. They make a big point about that. And Nolan doesn't. He starts to ask questions. He starts to wonder, like, oh, what is it that she's not telling us? Or does she... We've never seen the evil. Like, maybe it's not even real. So it really does seem to be
which raises another scenario, which I came up with this morning that I don't want to mention right now. I'll mention it later.
Okay. All right.
Like,
put a pin in that. Stick that right there.
Like my ultimate, the last thing I thought about this film is really where I thought it went, and it's the much more brain taxing of anything that I came up with while I was watching.
Okay, I would love to have my brain taxed. I mean, the government's already doing it to everything else I am. Another thing is that the movie gets to the point where it does seem to be about love overcoming evil. So Mama dies in the second act. Which is a bit right. That's the biggest twist of the film is like Halle Berry cuts her own throat and dies like after they're trying to put an arrow into the family dog. Yeah,
which
I know you were thinking is a rational response. Kill her.
I sat there going, if they actually kill this dog, I don't know how much of this I'm going to keep watching.
Yeah, my wife was in my arms crying when she thought the dog was going to die. I was like, and I had to lean over to her and go, they're going to cut her rope. Like, they're going to stop this. There's no way. There's too much build up. But then it cut to the shot. They're doing this long build up. They're showing her finger on the trigger. The dog, close up on the dog going, he's happy as a lark. It's just like, no.
Yeah, but then as soon as he gets away, he don't come back.
He does not. No.
He knew.
But the
crazy
moment
people
where
trying to eat
they really had me was they do this whole build up, and I totally expected for them to cut outside and see Nolan, or just like Nolan's hand with the machete in it, and for him to be like, hey, and then like get her attention and that stop it, which does happen. But instead of it being in the shot that I expected, they go just 3 seconds longer. And they show the shot from outside the shed. You see her, you see the dog, and it's kind of just ever so slightly pulling back. And I was like, wait a second, are they actually going to kill this freaking dog? Are they going to do that? Is that legal? and then it did play out exactly how I expected, that Nolan would choose, his love of the dog over the things that he was taught to believe and so on and so forth. Yeah,
but I didn't expect Halle Berry to take a piece of glass and cut her own throat.
That was the thing that got me. Yeah, her saying, you'll never get in. And I was like, now, hold on a second. We haven't had the third title card yet.
Well, yeah, because I looked at my watch going, oh, how much of this is left?
Yeah. And this is one of those places where, it's not necessarily a criticism, but it is a thought I had. The movie, at that point, when she does that, you think, okay, well, this has to pick up and start running now. Like, there's no way you can do that and not have the boys just like, oh, it's a fight for survival till the very end at this point. But then there's kind of that break. There's that break, and the movie takes the time to slow back down and just be like, okay, we're still in the same situation, but now we don't even have the dog or mama. So, and it really slows down, and there's a distance between the boys.
Well, but that sets up too, like eventually they're going to have to break free of the rope. They're going to have to venture out because they are starving.
Yeah.
And something has got to give in that situation where survival is going to take over. They're going to abandon what they've been taught and what they've been shown in order to keep living.
Right. Yeah.
And it's another very tough question to ask.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely, we've seen all their food run out under their mom's protection. So
right. And to the point that they're reducing tree bark.
Yes, which I got to say, does not look tasty.
No.
But it did get a good laugh because he was like, it's better with sap on it. I was like, yeah, that'll make it taste less like a tree. And Hannah and I both started giggling.
Well, because I was like, oh, wood chips.
Yeah.
Because they look like
wood
potato chips. Because she's toasting them on that wood burning stove. And once again, just beautiful how that all looks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, wood chips. Okay.
It's pretty funny. Why did I think of that? Gosh, I'm stupid.
Because I've seen more of these movies than you have.
Yeah, but you know me, I love a good pun. I'll go for any pun I can see. I'm the Punisher, you might say.
Oh boy.
Sorry, let me punt one over to you. Sorry for being a punk.
Okay, that's enough.
Here's your blood pressure medication.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm just kidding. You don't need blood pressure medication. You just need something.
Actually, I do.
No. I think you could ditch all that. You just need something to help you feel better. And I think that's why you should watch G-Force on repeat. I'm just saying.
That's not going to do it.
That is an absolute 100% FDA approved replacement for blood pressure medication.
This film didn't make me hungry for frog legs, let me tell you.
This movie has the loudest bone crunching sounds I have ever heard in a film. The sound mixer he walked in there and was like, hey, you know that audio track we have specifically for bone crunches?
Amplify
just crank that sucker up to 11.
Because I saw you drop your chicken finger too.
I
I was like,
yeah. Couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't do it. It was one of the most disgusting things I've ever watched. And then between that and then the sound of his ankle breaking, it was just like, well,
that's supposed to be.
Yeah, but it didn't have to be so dang loud. Okay, that's just all I'm saying. That made me want to puke.
Well, because the whole fact that the one boy thought he heard, she loves me better, and has to get revenge of that, which starts to plant the seeds of dissonance.
Yeah, the seeds of dissonance. That's a beautiful turn of phrase, by the way.
Thank you.
That was where I started to wonder a lot about. Okay, is it mental illness? And then by the end, you're going, is it not? Because they're basically the inciting incident for everything starting to go wrong is that Nolan is kind of getting chastised by Sam for, almost letting go of the rope to go get a robin's egg, which, could absolutely be a
trick.
Could be a trick by the evil. And, Sam's kind of getting on to him. He almost blows the whistle to get Mama over there. And it's like, okay, well, fine, I won't do it. And then as they're walking away, he hears Sam say, she loves me more. She loves me more. And you can totally see like how after the interaction they just had, maybe it is something he would say.
Right.
And so there's that. But then, you know, the movie at that time, it's like, well, of course this is a trick, right? You know, but then by the time you get to the end, when Nolan faces off against the evil version of his mom, she says that she just helped him see who he really was, Sam, who is now, you know, gotten by the evil.
Right.
And so there is the question of, does that mean that he did actually say it? Because we didn't see his mouth. We saw the back of his head when he said it. So it is left open. And, you know, when they're in the helicopter, after he's been possessed by the evil, he says it again. He says, she loved me more. And so that makes you wonder, like, is the point then that he did feel that way? He did say that thing, but you know, once he was possessed by the evil and fell for the trick, then it was like, well, that's just who he was on the underneath, and it was brought to the surface.
Right.
And if so, heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, awful, terrible. Also, the picture, I thought, because of the hints at mental illness, I thought that maybe when he took the picture of himself outside the burning house, that the house wouldn't be on fire in the photo that actually printed out.
I figured
was like,
I knew there was going to be something that you had to look at that photograph closely. And
it's mama's hand saying, good little goat. God, I hate that woman. Good performance. I mean, she's played by a woman named Stephanie Levine, and boy, Stephanie Levine, good job. You look terrifying. Don't ever come to my house.
We were saying those words like on the door as soon as you see her.
Heaven is here within our home. Heaven is here. Get out, Stephanie. Heaven is here within our home. Yeah, it does, man. It really does raise those questions, and I like that about it. I like that it doesn't have the answer by the end. You're right, because if the whole world is ended, there's no way they're getting air flighted out. But they're getting air flighted out. Right. And there's the photo. And so reality is...
evil is being unleashed on the world to end it.
Right, but that they already believe that it had happened. So is this...
It's a precursor.
But then why didn't the evil just go after someone else? Why did it have to be through this family that it enters the world? There's not a good answer for that.
There has to be a portal or a vessel to get this to spread. And this seems to be the most viable.
But then, who was the hiker guy? Like it already had some people,
right?
You know, and then.
But they were isolated.
Oh, you know what? Hold on.
So okay, so the one thing I that I was saving, that the main thing that I thought about is, you know, especially this morning, was that Halle Berry's character doesn't actually exist. It's in the minds of the two kids that they're seeing it.
Interesting.
And then this is how the downfall of humanity happens, is by one, like almost Cain versus Abel, taking on each other and unleashing it onto the world. And I really thought that was like the best scenario I came up with.
Maybe. Yeah, because there is the absolutely insane question of what was with the snake thing lady underneath her body. Like once Nolan tackles Mama into the cellar and he's crying out, "I love you, Mom," and it's this idea of love overcoming evil and how but also it could be interpreted as when her skin splits open and this snake bird looking thing comes out, that maybe, you know, he's learning to love her with her flaws, but it could be that he learned to love her evil. I don't know. But then she just turns into snakeskin dust.
Love destroys evil, so that's how.
Sure, but it also
why that happens.
The snake thing hugs her, or hugs him back. Like it's not like it is her. There is love there, but there's love in the evil, I guess.
Yeah, but
it's almost
like
him, but
she's trying to drag him to hell with her.
It could be that, yeah, but it seemed like a tender hug. It didn't seem like a gotcha.
Doesn't have to.
Which is how I got these scratches on my arm from my cat.
Doesn't have to be maniacal.
Why would? It's pretty maniacal to drag your children to hell with you.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It doesn't have to look that way. Like that.
Fair
that's
enough.
what I'm saying. It can be the most loving hand that guides you into the worst situation ever.
Which is something that's a theme throughout the whole film.
Right.
What if we missed something, and at the end it actually panned out, and it was a snow globe, and which is it's not General Hospital, but it's some long running medical drama. Well, the Krampus too, but there was some long running medical drama.
Well, no, that's how
at the
Krampus
end
ends.
I know, it's a great movie. I love it. I love it so much. But there's some long running TV show that like kind of went off the rails in them at the end. That like zooms out, and it turns out the whole show took place inside the
St. Elsewhere.
St. Elsewhere. That's what it was. Yeah. And people lambasted it for being a terrible ending. This one, the ending is not terrible, but boy, is it confusing. Tell you what.
Not so much confusing as it's just thought provoking and leaving it to your own devices.
You're right. I used the wrong word there. What I meant to say was, I want answers because I'm a big boy who wants to know how it works.
Just like the ending to Inception drives people nuts. And I still see debates about that to this day.
Oh, yeah.
And this may not be on the scale as Inception was, but it's still going to drive people crazy.
I don't think it has the spectacle to get that sort of attention.
And it's not going to have the release that, it's a Lionsgate movie too when it comes down to it. It's not a Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah.
So it's not going to get the scope that like Inception got.
Yeah.
We got it because we had room for it. So,
right. Yep.
So we played it. And
it's a good one though. I mean,
it's probably, we're not planning on having it more than 2 weeks. It's going to be gone.
Yeah, so far in Thursday previews, it was $360,000.
Yeah,
so
which is
not great off a $20 million budget. I think it might be able to make that back.
This might have a more life on like home video and streaming than it will in the theaters.
I think so.
I think word of mouth will spread on this. That you might not want to go to the theater with this, but like definitely watch it when it's on streaming.
At the very least, for Halle Berry's performance, I think people will be,
and the kids. The kids were good too.
I know. Look, there were just a couple of moments where I wanted
and the dog.
Layers.
The dog was good.
Oh, the dog is perfect. The dog never missed a beat.
Had to throw that in there.
Yeah. So the little girl climbing the tree with a bunch of hands, that was the trailer bait. I was watching it and I was just like,
yeah, but that wasn't in the trailer.
No, that was the only thing I saw. I saw Halle Berry saying never let go, and then I saw the hands, and then I shut off what I was seeing.
I never saw a trailer with that in it.
Really? Interesting. Yeah. That's like the only image I knew.
The one that I showed here at the theater didn't have that in it.
Huh. How did I miss the trailer for Never Let Go every single time I was here? It must be because I was always getting food. No, I was getting my wife food. I'm here for the trailers most of the time.
Well, I kind of play the same trailers, especially with something that... that I'm pushing a film that I want to see or that we're going to play if you see it more than once on a couple of different movies.
Yeah. But to be fair, you have good taste. So I think that's...
Thank you.
Is the evil just insanity? I think that's the main question. Is it, is it just schizophrenia and mental illness or... because that is the kind of thing that does... I mean, in some cases, it's actually hereditary. Right. It's a genetic thing. And then in other cases, it's that nature or nurture over nature, where someone is put through the ringer and that begets a mental illness in them.
Right.
This one, like I said, doesn't answer it, but it does make you want to know.
And I really thought you didn't like this movie, so
I liked it quite a lot. I hate horror films still. I think that definitely like the one thing that I love suspense. I hate demonic stuff. Like when it gets to, like The Exorcist and stuff, I'm just not going to watch.
But this is a little bit different than that. That it was not going to upset you as much. In fact,
no.
I would think it would almost be like a reaffirming of faith.
Sort of. I mean, if there was a frustration for me, it was that it was like
and
have
even,
a stance, like because I want to see faith represented properly.
Right, but then there's also like the family themes that you like too. Mm-hmm. That there is that theme in this film.
Oh yeah, it's
is twisted and very hard to find at some points in this film, but there is that connection of family. And I really love the photography too when the house is burning and you see the records start melting.
Oh, that was so cool!
And I was like, yeah, that's the stuff I live for.
Yeah, that was a moment too. I wish I'd written that down because I was sitting there just going, it's starting to warp. Oh, it's getting all funky. Yeah. It's great. I love it. And then he tackled her and turned into a snake bird. And I was like, what's happening?
I think you might like horror films more than you think you do.
It's not that I don't like horror films. I'm older now. I stayed away from them for a long time because
most of them are stupid anymore. Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, and well, the other thing too is Not to get too incredibly personal on this podcast, but whatever, who cares? When I was 16, I saw Paranormal Activity 2. And it was
I hate those movies.
I hate them too. But it was about a year after. People are going to think I'm crazy when I say this, but I'm going to throw it out there because I believe it to be true. Look, demons and forces of evil are real. I believe that there were angels who sided with Satan and got cast out of heaven, and their job is to torment people. I started struggling with self-worth a lot when I was around 15 years old.
Okay.
And there was one night I was sitting up and I saw in my closet this kind of shadowy figure with and it kind of seems like almost kitschy, but it's like the glowing red eyes kind of thing. Yeah, but that was exactly the kind of thing that would have freaked me out. So right. It makes sense that if something can take forms, it's going to take the one that would freak you out. And I heard a voice say, "You're right. You have no worth. You should just kill yourself." And I struggled with depression and suicidal thoughts up until about 2 years ago. From that point. And so for me, it was always I want to avoid letting that in any way that I can, because it was so easy for me to fall into that fit of I should die. I shouldn't be here. I don't have value. And demonic presences and this idea of allowing letting something get a little foothold. A little foothold's all it takes. And so that was why I avoided, most horror films for a long time. This one, I think, kind of rides a line where I was a little uncomfortable with just it wasn't glorifying evil, but it was asking questions about what it is and all that stuff. And so I
that's
found
why
it
I think it's better than the average horror film, because there is a lot of exposition behind it that I really enjoyed.
The other side of that coin, though, is things like Paranormal Activity, which are just relishing in trying to spook you with something and go, no, it's fine, it's not real. We just did a really good job of faking, and it's
cheap parlor tricks, in my opinion.
It's cheap parlor tricks, but it is done in a way to it gets under your skin. Especially as a kid, and I think that because of the struggles that I had, I was kind of stuck developmentally in that place of like, I can't even see it without it messing with me.
Okay.
I
was hoping you wouldn't say Blair Witch Project. So that's another. I absolutely hate.
I haven't seen the Blair Witch Project. No, I've seen lots of people do clips of it, and it's funny enough. I actually like watching people play kind of like horror games and stuff. Like, Dead Space is one of my favorite games. I love that, but that's not demons. That's spooky space aliens, and it's just like, okay, well, there's this marker, and it spreads a virus, or maybe it's supernatural. Who knows? But guys start turning into these things with big scissor hands, and it's like, oh no, Johnny Depp's after me, and you shoot his limbs off. It's great.
So my Paranormal Activity story is when I went and saw the first one, when it was very much in a limited release before it went wide.
Yeah.
And I was running a theater in Orange, Texas. I drove to Houston 2 hours to go see this movie. To see what the big
longer than the runtime of the movie.
What the big commotion was about this film. And this back when it was still film. So there was a part in the film where apparently they had a projector problem and the film got stuck and it melted and snapped.
Oh.
Which means that there was a brain wrap around the center of the platter, and that's what caused that.
Yeah.
I thought it was part of the film. And I was like, that's actually pretty cool. I'm like, how did they do that? And
as a projectionist, nothing is more terrifying than a projection going wrong.
Turns out, like, white screen, 10, 15, something's wrong.
Oh, something's wrong.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny, though. That means you were in it then, if you were like, well, this must be intentional.
I was until the last part of it, and then the subsequent sequels just really make me hate that series.
The second one's the only one I've seen.
You're not missing anything else, trust me.
I don't think so.
No.
But it really was... There's a difference between a movie that's talking about the nature of evil and then something that is relishing in, hey, we're going to play around with specific demon names just because we think it's fun.
Right.
That stuff pisses me off. And that stuff I don't touch with a 10-foot pole. But this definitely is, not to that line.
Wes Craven did that too with the Nightmare on Elm Street series. So the last one that he did in that series was called New Nightmare. Mm-hmm. And what that story was is that the Nightmare on Elm Street films were over. Evil manifested itself into reality and started killing people off from the original film.
Oh.
And it was a really cool premise, and it's actually a neat movie. So it almost kind of...
I would like it if Evil didn't do that, though, personally. Just
yeah, well... So it almost carries over to this film, but just a different way of saying that.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny. Like Freddy Krueger is, to me, it's not the same as like, oh, we're doing a seance to call upon this specific demon. Like when people do that in movies, I shut that off immediately. I'm just
So you haven't seen Drag Me to Hell?
No, I haven't. There's trains at the end. I get it. But yeah, like that was one of the reasons that, you know, like Evil Dead is something that I hadn't watched. It was because of those things, and I get that that's something that people will scoff at, and they'll go, "Oh, you're one of those crazy, silly Christian boys." I get it. And yeah, I was homeschooled. What about it?
I mean, there are some decent horror films. Like, you know, the original Alien is still a classic. The original Halloween is still a classic.
Yeah, and I love those movies. Like,
Psycho's a classic.
Psycho's great. Yeah.
So it's not just slasher. Like there's stuff in horror that's not slasher related that's actually pretty good. There is a ghost story one from the 70s with George C. Scott called The Changeling. It's a fantastic film.
Changeling. That's like folklore stuff, which I love.
Yeah, so you should see that.
Okay, cool. It's going on the list.
You'll like that one.
Every week I'm adding things to this list, and every week I am not watching them and catching up.
Well, so are you going to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre when we play it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool.
Yes, I am, Andy. I'm going to get one thing right this year. I'm going to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre
50th
on the
anniversary.
Screen.
Yeah,
it's going to be great.
It's 7.1 audio too. It's going to be neat.
When does that start?
It's October 1st and 2nd are the first days. There's a 7:45 show, and then it's going to run every Friday and Saturday night through October, probably around 10 o'clock.
Sweet.
And then Halloween night.
Cool. All right. Well, that's right here, Grand Avenue Theater in Belton, Texas, 2809 Oakmark Drive, Belton, Texas 76513. Come check it out.
Tickets for that are going to be $4 a piece.
Hashtag not sponsored. We just love it here. We're sitting literally in the party room in the theater right now, listening to Transformers 1 boom overhead. Truly, this is the world's happiest place.
So we definitely made the right decision by going with this movie this week instead of Transformers.
Yeah, I mean, there's like Transformers. I would have had more fun.
Yeah, and I'm gonna watch it tomorrow with Drew.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna go see it because I've heard that it's really good. I haven't
heard anything about it. So
I've heard people. Someone who does reviews at Joe Blow said that it was the best Transformers movie that has ever been made. So
that's not.
Look, it's a low bar, but I mean, Transformers 1 captivated me as a kid. So
yeah, that was the first.
Sorry, Transformers, not Transformers 1, which is the movie that's out now, which is the 7th or 8th movie in the franchise. Movie gallivanting like I do. Went to Austin last weekend to see a movie called The 4:30 Movie. Oh, that's right. And the Kevin Smith.
Right, and they make a reference to that by. Well, you don't call Poltergeist 1 Poltergeist 1. You just call it Poltergeist.
Right.
And there's this whole conversation about that because it's set in the time that Poltergeist 2 came out, which is 1985. And it's all set one day with this kid that asks this girl out after ghosting her for like a year to go to the 4:30 movie with him.
That is playing hard to get.
Right. And they're going to see an R-rated film. So the whole plot is them going into this theater, going into the PG film and sneaking into this other film. And generally... it's
high stakes. Really high stakes.
Right. And my wife said the funniest thing afterward, because we were just about the only ones in the theater. And it's a fantastic movie. It just... very heartfelt and sincere and really funny. But my wife was like, did they follow you around as a teenager and wrote this? Because she's like, this seems to be your life. When I said, yeah, but I was never cool enough to have a girlfriend or even somebody that I was infatuated with. Like I went to the movies solely in the summers in Pittsburgh because my parents kicked me out of the house and didn't want to see me until the sun came down.
Yeah.
So I hopped the bus to downtown Pittsburgh and went to 4 different theaters that are no longer there, sadly to say. Oh, wow. And just spent my days.
Wow, you killed 4 theaters. That's a good. Yeah. That's a pretty good kill death ratio. I mean, so far you've died 0 times,
and many times watching the same film over and over again too, and seeing a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have seen when I'm 14 and 15 years old.
Yeah, and then also plenty of times in your life after that. For instance, I know you've seen all of the Human Centipede movies.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, man.
Sadly. Well, the first one is an interesting concept like that. It's something, honestly, that you haven't seen before. But then the problem is Kevin Smith took note of that and made Tusk, which I absolutely hated.
Yeah. I mean, there's an argument. So the novelty aspect of it. Oh, you've never seen this before. It's definitely a different idea. There's a whole in literature, not in literature, but in arguing and debating. Yeah. There's this idea of the novelty fallacy, that because an idea is new, it therefore is. Or because something is new to you, it therefore has merit. And so the only thing I could think of was when you said, well, it's a new idea. You haven't seen it before. I'm like, I also haven't seen Hitler's butt up close. That doesn't mean I need to.
That's one of the only good jokes out of the movie Little Nicky. Was like he's seeing Hitler in hell and he has to come every day dressed up as a French maid and the devil like shoves a pineapple up his butt.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
And Harvey Keitel is the devil.
Oh, really?
And then the one day he's like, oh, no, wrong end. And not the fruit side, but the thorn. And you.
Oh gosh, that's fair.
That's the only good show. That's the only good thing I could say about Little Nicky because I hate that movie.
Oh my goodness.
Most of Adam Sandler stuff, most of
the time I can't stand him.
No,
I have a soft spot for Click because it came out right at the time where I was just immature enough to appreciate it.
That was a little different, and I kind of like the message on that don't waste your life.
Yeah. It has a surprisingly nice message, and Christopher Walken's fantastic in it.
Well, and Kate Beckinsale. Gotta love Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah. How does Adam Sandler? I don't think he's funny enough to have that many hot wives in movies, but somehow he keeps pulling it off.
Right.
Good for him. What a jerk.
But then they're making Happy Gilmore 2.
Yeah, apparently they're filming now. So don't get upset. Watch G-Force. It's going to be okay. Let's see. Oh, so I do want to one more thing before we maybe get into news.
Okay.
So Sam, he chases the little girl out into the woods and goes, I know she's real, and he lets go of the rope because she gets him to like run in a circle and wrap his rope around a bunch of trees.
Yeah.
He lets go and then runs off after her. You absolute moron. You grade A freaking idiot.
Yeah,
all you had to do
kid.
was grab the rope. He's crossed back over it. He can see the middle of the rope and the end of the rope. Grab the middle of the rope, untie the end, and then just grab it and pull it in, and then tie it back on and run back after her. It's not going to take that much time.
But
and
are
also,
you really
she's
thinking
running
about
in a
that
circle.
in that kind of scenario?
Yes, it's all he's thought about his whole life. It doesn't just go out the window. I mean, look, it's all about him doubting that any of this is actually real because he kind of thinks he killed a guy who maybe wasn't a bad person and wasn't the evil earlier,
right.
And then he's chasing this thing, and then she does her whole multi-hand like thing, and then he gets. I guess she kind of hawks a loogie and it goes in his mouth and it's weird. That's the only imagery I can kind of take for that. Is just like that's just a big booger. I did hate love, but I hated that the thing like crawls up his arm and it's like the tongue comes out first.
Oh yeah,
and, like the
I like
forked
that.
tongue, and I think that is very much referencing the Garden of Eden and
right.
the snake and anyway, gross. But yeah, Sam, you freaking idiot. he could have grabbed the rope.
I'm seriously going to see what you have to say when we have to watch Smile 2 in a month.
Yeah, should I watch the first one? Do you think?
You probably should just to get a frame of reference on
Okay.
what you're in for the second one because
Okay.
it's going to be a bigger scope.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the ending to the first Smile I really like.
Oh, okay.
It's not a great film, but the ending to it, yeah, definitely kind of made the whole film worth watching.
Yeah.
The second one I don't have high hopes for, but it's the only thing coming out that week.
It's funny. I think the trailer looks really good.
I don't.
I think it looks interesting.
I'm probably just because I'm getting so tired of these Past the Curse movies that they just don't.
Fair enough. I don't have any of that baggage.
Yeah. The one that I'm more excited for the more I watch the trailer for is Wolfman.
Yeah.
Lee Whannell, because I really like what he did with Invisible Man.
Absolutely.
So and that trailer is just short and teasy enough that you really don't see anything, even though you think you do. Mm-hmm. And I don't really want to see another trailer for it. Like
I don't
I'm
either.
fine with that and go to January and where we get that film.
Man, I'm really on a kick of like, don't show me a trailer. Just let me walk in blind. I'm kind of loving that right now. I go through phases of that where I'm like, I want to just walk in blind, and other times where I'm like, okay, I really need to start vetting the things that I'm watching before I watch them because my gosh, is this torture sometimes? But but since we're cursed to do this podcast forever until the end of time, I think that going in blind is kind of fun.
So if you're going to see this film, definitely come within 2 weeks because it's probably going to be gone.
Yeah, definitely. And if it comes out on streaming and you miss it in theaters, like, I think it's a loss for you just simply because the sound design really does, and with the 7.1 surround, and
it worked
the
very
volume,
well.
it really does add a lot of atmosphere that you're not going to get out of your TV speakers at home.
That's one I would like to see up for like Academy Award for sound editing, but those films just don't get nominated.
No, this will be completely snubbed. I'm sure, but what can you do?
And I'd like to see Halle Berry.
Yeah,
because that's got to be someone with not even multiple personalities or schizophrenia, but some degree of mental illness to the point that you're willing to kill your own children. It's got to be very hard to play.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah, that's a very, very, very dark place to go to.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's easier than, like Frances McDormand got the award the 1 year for Nomadland, and I don't really care for that film just because it's kind of boring.
The Academy is rigged to bolster whoever it is that Hollywood thinks will make them the most money.
That was the year of COVID too, and there wasn't much competition, and they had to pick something that was artsy. And this is probably the only thing they saw.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why it got all the awards that it did.
The year where you are stuck inside and can't go anywhere, everyone just stopped watching movies for the Academy.
I didn't.
Idiots.
I kept watching.
No. I mean, everyone who was voting. Friggin'.
And then Jessica and I went and saw The Killers Game.
How was that?
Actually, it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
It's not a great film, but it doesn't take itself very seriously. It's more funny than it is anything else. There's a couple of characters that you definitely want to see die immediately.
Sure. Dave Bautista.
And the Asian woman that's the head, like the main bad guy in that, horrible actress.
Really?
She needs to not do anything ever again. But the woman
strong words. Let's see how it works out for him, Cotton.
The woman that plays Batista's girlfriend is really good. And she reminds me of the woman that's the singer for Lacuna Coil, Christina Scabbia. She looks very much like her.
I don't know. I just know it's Sofia Boutella, who was the Mummy in the Mummy remake, which is one of the...
I never saw that.
It's one of the funniest.
The Tom Cruise one and Russell Crowe.
Did you see the trailer? They dropped the trailer and didn't have anything but him screaming in the... Oh my gosh. Peak cinema. Beautiful. Perfect.
I was like, what happened to the Brendan Fraser one? I like that one.
No, I love those movies. I will hear nary a bad word about the first two. Let's see. No, it's Pom Klementieff, who plays she's Mantis in the MCU in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh.
It's the same actress.
So that's probably how she got the part too, was from Batista.
Maybe so, yeah.
But Terry Crews is kind of like the spotlight of that film too. Like, he's really funny.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love Terry Crews.
Yeah. How for that alone,
okay.
Yeah, but that's definitely we're only going to have it another week.
I think this might be one of those things. If I had more time this week, I might sit and go, okay, I go get
and
it.
It's an hour and a half. It's not very long.
But I just don't think I have the time for this with everything else we got to do.
It's going to be on streaming in like a week.
Yeah, probably. 3.9 million so far at the box office.
Yeah.
And it came out this weekend or last week?
Last weekend.
Okay,
yeah, because it was a last.
I'll see that on streaming yesterday.
It was kind of a Monday morning quarterback in the film world.
Holy
because
crap.
We had room for it, and your film buyer called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to play it?" And I was like, "Do I have to?" And they're like, "Well, you have room for it." And I was like, "Okay."
Yep. Well, at the very least, I'll watch it for Terry Crews.
Yeah.
I'll do anything for Terry.
Terry, it's worth it for
Call me
that.
back. I've been trying to get a hold of you for years, Terry.
And
please call me back.
How far has Ben Kingsley fallen from when he's doing these kind of films? I thought it was bad when he was in Blood Rain.
You know, man,
But this is
Blood Rain's got to be a step lower than this, right?
Oh yeah, it is definitely. Blood Rain's a really bad movie.
Ben Kingsley is a talented performer who I think also just appreciates having fun on a bad movie. I mean, Iron Man 3, you know, he's playing a ridiculously dumb character in that.
That's true.
Which is it's kind of a fun twist, and you're just like, what? But
at least he's worth watching in that. But he goes from Gandhi and winning an Academy Award to, like, you know, many, many, many years later, he's doing this stuff. And I'm like,
he's not my Gandhi, though. My Gandhi is the Gandhi from Gandhi 2. Gandhi's Revenge from UHF.
UHF.
Yeah. It's the only Gandhi that I'll
Conan
recognize.
the librarian.
Conan the librarian.
You don't know the Dewey Decimal System.
I'm sorry.
$4.90. I got it for $4.99 on Apple.
Oh gosh, it's so good. Yeah.
I'm afraid to play that in front of Jessica.
Why?
'Cause she'll hate it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That in that respect, like,
And here I was thinking we were friends.
her sense of humor is a little off, I think, sometimes, and she just absolutely hate it.
So, humor is subjective, but Jessica's wrong on this one.
Well, at least she didn't like If. Like,
Okay, yeah,
certain
no.
people from my life.
Hey, let's not pick on children.
Well, I wasn't even talking Drew. Drew gets a pass.
You want to get into news?
Yeah, let's do
Do it. Okay, so this one very interesting for me, just from a production standpoint. 28 years later, was shot on Apple iPhone 15.
I saw that.
Now, let's be very, very, very clear for people who think, "Oh, I could do that with my iPhone." No, they took off the whole camera assembly. The whole back of the phone had to be changed out, and they put a adapter that allowed them to use actual cinema lenses on the iPhone. That is not the same as you going out with the lenses built into your phone and filming something. That just
and it's Danny
not the
Boyle.
same.
He's allowed to do that.
It's Danny Boyle. But yeah, they had like 15 of these things that they had rigged up, and it's interesting, and it kind of fits in with the feel of how they made these movies, starting with, 28 Days Later was filmed on the Canon XL1, which was a $4,000 mini DV Pro Super camera. It was very much like, oh, this was the first time we could just get our hands on something like this at this price point. Can we do something with it? And then they cleared out the London Square for like an hour, and then they were like, all right, that's all the production that we're going to get on this. So everything else takes place in a small room. Deal with it. It's like, so
great movie too.
It has that sort of scrappy filmmaker quality to it. But then at the same time, if you have 15 of them, you're past the point of most scrappy filmmaker budgets.
Because I think Danny Boyle didn't have much of a career until that, because I know like one of the only films he did before that was a movie called Shallow Grave that I really liked, which Ewan McGregor, that's where he got his start.
That's right.
And
because he did that before Trainspotting?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how they ended up hooking up later to do Trainspotting. But Shallow Grave is a cool movie, and it's very creepy.
It's going on the list. Wait, it's creepy? It's going off the list.
It's not a horror film, though.
Oh, okay. It's going back on the list.
It's the ultimate in paranoia. And the basic story to that is three flatmates looking for another roommate to have in this like giant apartment that they have. The person that they do get shows up for a night, dies, and then leaves a bag full of money.
Huh.
And the rest of the film is the three surviving roommates kind of fighting over this bag of money. And all the crazy paranoid scenarios that would happen. Like one of the roommates goes up into the attic, drills holes into the ceiling to keep an eye on everybody else on where they are as relationship to the money to see if they're going to go for it or not.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
what's it called again?
Shallow Grave.
Shallow Grave. Okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's on the list. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Let's see. That was just interesting because I love when people do kind of weird things and push. That being said,
that makes me want to see that movie even more now.
I've seen some tests people have done with what's called depth mapping on the iPhone. So basically, with the iPhone, you can also, because it has a LiDAR scanner, there's ways to extract using AI. Oh no. But using AI, you can extract the depth data and build out a depth map so you know what actually should be like in focus or out of focus if it was a bigger sensor.
Okay.
And I've seen people do side by side with Red Cinema cameras and the iPhone with that depth map and the post-production stuff that they did on it. It's like, that's actually scary close in dynamic range and stuff in this scene. So there, you can do some crazy stuff with phones now.
Yeah.
That being said, if you're out there and you think that you open Google to go to the internet, then you can't do it. So I don't want to hear you talking down to filmmakers. Anyway,
I hope I can get that film when it comes out.
Why wouldn't you? It's got a $70 million budget. It's going to be big.
Well,
that also, I forgot, that makes it the most expensive movie ever shot on a phone. $70 million for the budget. So,
okay.
Okay. The original Speak No Evil director was not impressed with the remake.
Yeah, I read that too.
He said, I don't know what it is about Americans. His name is Christian Taftrup, and with a last name like that, how dare you criticize us, you ridiculous Dutch man. But, sorry, Danish. Not that anyone cares.
Oh, because I saw that on Facebook. I put a comment on that on Facebook.
Did you really?
Yeah.
He said, I don't know what it is about Americans, but they are brought up for a heroic tale where the good must win over the bad. And this version of the film cultivates that. When I saw the film, I could see that they would never succeed with a film where the characters are stoned to death as they do in our film. These people in the U.S. version must fight for their family and defeat the bad guys. It's kind of a happy ending, and it is deep in their culture that America must be able to handle it all.
Okay, I have to address this as I watch the original one now. Okay, now you upset me. First off, you got the worst actresses and actresses on the planet that, yeah, they're horrible. Your main protagonist is not any way intimidating, menacing. I would not be afraid of this guy if I met him on the street at all, or be suckered into, oh, well, you have to come to my farm. No, I'm not. It's not happening. And then, yeah, you lure them out there, cut the girl's tongue off, stone them, and then the movie's over. Thank you so much for wasting my time.
Right, yeah. Well, the way that he said it was, he said audience members seeing the remake were completely over-enthusiastic and clapped, laughed, and whooped. It was like being at a rock concert, a very different experience from watching the original. People left my film traumatized.
Yeah, because it sucked. They were like, I wasted how much euros on this?
Right, yeah. And I'm being taxed at like 85% because I'm in Europe, so that's a lot of my money.
Right.
Yeah, it's look,
pretentious jerk.
Europe.
That's where that's where the veins on my neck start standing.
I know.
Up.
I take 2 G-force and call me in the morning. You're looking a little red. I missed it last week, so I'm making up for it.
Okay, you got some red on you.
Oh boy, what was it on my hands? I hope not.
Shaun of the Dead reference.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm stupid. Anyway, James Cameron says he doesn't care if you hate his dialogue. He was talking with Empire about the 40th anniversary of the Terminator.
Oh,
and he said, I don't cringe on any of the dialogue. You know, I wish the movie's production values had aged better, but yeah, I have a lower cringe. He said I have a lower cringe factor than apparently a lot of people do around the dialogue that I write.
Especially the last part of that with the stop motion animation Terminator. Yeah, it looks
bad, but at the same time, I love that just the usage of it.
Right,
is
like
still like, oh my god, the Harryhausen.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's yeah,
and I love that. And there's bits of that in Terminator 2 that they still use.
Yeah.
And then, I just found out today that, going forward further in time to the original Hellboy movie that they made with Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, yeah.
That big shot where the new agent like goes down into the BPRD for the first time, and it's this super wide shot. It's just a bunch of little guys. Just a bunch of like inch tall guys just kind of being wiggled around on the set, so it looks like they're moving. So if you look in the windows where people are working at their desks, it's just a stiff person kind of going.
Really?
Yeah, it's great, but you totally buy it. You're like, wow, this scale is incredible. And they're like, he's so very tiny, but we make it look big.
You're so fluffy.
You're so fluffy. Come on, Andy. But he said, James Cameron, he was talking about this, and he goes, you know what? Let me see your 3 out of the 4 highest grossing films, and then we could talk about dialogue effectiveness.
Oh, yeah.
And look, that's a douche nugget thing to say, but like, he's not wrong.
Right. It's like, yeah, drop the mic, and you really can't argue with that. You can't.
Like, oh, he's got a point. True Lies is pretty good.
It's not that good.
I love True Lies. What do you mean, man? That whole sequence at the end with the bridge, it just looks incredible.
I'm just not a huge fan of that film, and it's a film that I should like. I always like The Abyss a lot more, but I like the director's cut of Abyss because it makes more of a statement, and it's a lot better story than what Fox cut it down to for the theatrical version.
Oh no, Fox ruined the movie. Who would have guessed?
Especially like all those underwater shots in The Abyss are actually all underwater.
Yeah. James Cameron really, he's like, if you took someone who loved filmmaking and just sucked all the fun out of them.
That's James Cameron.
That's James Cameron.
Right.
Like, he doesn't seem like a fun guy, but boy, he knows what he's doing. I'll give him that.
I did meet him in Vegas one year.
Was he nice?
He was to me.
Oh, good.
but
That's nice.
he was trying to push like this 64 frame per second
Oh, really?
process. Yeah, because he was planning on doing it with Avatar at one point. And then when Peter Jackson did it with the one Lord of the Rings film and it tanked, everybody kind of abandoned the high frame rate thing because it just doesn't look that good.
Gemini Man then tried to, like, couldn't even be projected at most places at the frame rate it was shot at. Ridiculous. That movie also apparently not good, but
I never saw that.
That's not surprising. No one did.
Yeah.
So I bring up James Cameron because I wanted to talk about. He was talking about future Terminator projects a little bit, and this I think is perhaps good news. He said, "This is the moment when you jettison everything that is specific to the last 40 years of Terminators, but you live by those principles. You get too inside it, and then you lose a new audience because the new audience care much less about the stuff that you think they do." He said that's the danger, obviously, with Avatar as well, but I think we've proven that we have something for new audiences. He said you've got. Talking about the Terminator franchise, he said you've got powerless main characters essentially fighting for their lives who get no support from existing power structures and have to circumvent them but somehow maintain a moral compass. And then you throw AI in the mix. Those principles are sound principles for storytelling, right? So I have no doubt that subsequent Terminator films will not only be possible, but they will, and I'm quoting here, they'll kick. And but this is the moment where you jettison all the specific iconography. So no more Arnie. Arnold
they're not going to use anybody from the original ones.
No more John Connor. Like the whole storyline around John Connor done. And yeah, I would like to see what they do with a new thing.
Yeah, just as long as it's not Genesis.
A new thing.
You're right. Exactly. Let's stress that.
Yeah. Okay, so Francis Ford Coppola. This ongoing saga of Megalopolis is just my favorite thing right now because as we all know, Blade's never happening, so there's no point in making fun of it anymore. Francis Ford Coppola he gave a perfect score to Megalopolis on Letterboxd. He rated his own film with a perfect score. I just love that. Yeah, of course. I'm not. There is no. I didn't get any more context for this. I just saw the title and went, "That's all I need to know to watch this movie," and just laugh my rear off.
Our film buyer said it was actually pretty good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm kind of surprised, but once again, it's Lionsgate putting it out.
Yeah. So the review that I saw a little bit of was someone just going like, "Look, this thing it just kind of happens, and then you get to the final act, and it just kind of is trying to wrap everything up, and so much happens, you can't keep up with it." I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the Horizon Part 1 freaking
of sci-fi
thing
films
at the end. But like, I think it's going to be so much of an interesting ride to just see what is this thing, what is it trying to do,
it's going to be a train wreck.
How does it fail at what it's doing? And you know, the guy he funded this thing with his own money. There's a part of me that just makes me go, look, the balls to do that. I hope he
better
gets
start
that
selling
money
a
back.
lot of wine.
Yeah, well, but yeah, it's going to be fun
because that's what Coppola did. Like that's what he's been doing for the last 20 years. He's been selling wine.
Yeah, well, apparently he's getting a lot of wine for free now from critics.
He should be. I can't. You know, even though people are telling me this movie's good, I just can't imagine it being all that great. And it just looks weird.
I am in a weird position where I think that the weird imagery is enough to make me go like, I just want to see what it is. Like, because all the trailers that I've seen, there is no information on what the movie is, but you know it's from the guy who did Apocalypse Now,
right?
Because that's all they're selling it on. And yeah, it's such a weird little piece of ongoing film history that I want to see what it is.
So field trip.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, because there's no way it's coming here.
No, well, I passed on it.
Yeah,
we are not going to play it.
I don't blame you. But yeah, we're definitely we'll have to get in the grand review bus.
Yeah,
and remind everyone to go to the bathroom before we get on the road because we're not stopping.
Well, you'll have 40 minutes if we go to Cinemark for the trailer pack that they put on those things.
You can go and you can sit down. You can do your emails. You can check up on your family. You know, catch up on those bills you probably forgot to pay on time. So now there's $5 late fees on the electricity. You're just gonna have to deal with it. Maybe you can call them and see if you can work something out. You know, and then the movie will have still not started.
Yeah,
freaking
exactly.
The next live action Transformers confirmed it will be an equal crossover with G.I. Joe. I know that they did something with this at the end of Rise of the Beast or something like that. I didn't see it.
I checked out on that series a long time ago.
You know what's funny? People really, really lambasted Rise of the Fallen for being terribly written and all that stuff. And I was like, I don't see how this is any worse than the first one. And also the Devastator, like multi-combiner robot at the end of that movie is so freaking cool. And the sound design is incredible on that. And I'm just like... And also, look, I will never not laugh at John Turturro saying, I am directly beneath the enemy scrotum. It's so freaking, like, he just commits to it. I know people hate that movie, but it's just dumb enough that I love it.
Once they started linking back to, like, Knights of the Round Table and King, I was like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, it was those first three I have a soft spot for.
Yeah, they're okay.
I do. But yeah, once you get to 4 and then 5, it was just like, you guys have lost your mind. How dare you spend money on this? I need food. Send me $20 and stop putting in another shot of it switching to IMAX for no reason. There's not even anything IMAX worthy in this shot. What are you doing? Drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's Rise of the Beast. Actually, I was working in a theater that we had IMAX for that last summer.
Yeah,
it didn't do that well in IMAX.
I think it was the last night. That one, the end fight goes on for so long and nothing of any actual interest happens. And it's switching between 3 different aspect ratios almost every shot.
Yeah.
It is one of the most incredibly obnoxious viewing experiences
Did Michael
I've
Bay
ever
still
had.
do that?
Yes. And I think it was him trying to get fired. I think he just wanted out. Yeah. I mean, freaking...
I stopped. Well, the last Michael Bay film that I remember watching that I absolutely hated was Pain and Gain. I hated that.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that and was just like, this looks like the kind of thing that, you know, the guys that my brother works with at the mechanic shop would think is hilarious. So I'm not going to watch this.
Yeah, and it was funny. Like, I saw that too, the one year going to CinemaCon, and it was opening night, and it was after travel all day and you know, stuff doing that afternoon, and they show it at 9:00 at night. Michael Bay introduces it, and his only remark to it was, well, this is for all the haters that say I can't make a movie under 100 million. And we sat there, like, working for Showbiz Cinemas at the time, and we all sat there going, when is this going to be over?
We know, yes, technically this is a movie and you made it for under $100 million, but that doesn't mean it has merit or value.
No, it's really bad.
Yeah. But, you know, it is exactly the kind of roided up bro ham crap that someone who's in a frat and goes to the gym every day and looks better than me, blah, blah, blah. It's exactly the kind of thing that person would love. And now that just gives me 2 reasons to hate them. 1, they look better than me. 2, they like Pain and Gain. I wrote... Okay, so I'm going to skip past this. Basically, they're trying to find a balance between the Joes and the Transformers in this one. I wrote down what's the...
Paramount's been having this in the works for like a long time, too.
I've been hearing rumblings about this since like 2007.
Yeah.
Lorenzo Di Bonaventura is the producer on this, and there is one of the most rambling, incoherent quotes on this website. And I was going to read the whole thing to you, but I just
wasted time.
I read it once.
That's
I
enough.
don't think that I can mentally recover from a second time. Basically, his point is, you know, you can't have too many characters. You got to keep it small and figure out what the right balance is. And we're like, duh. Oh, look, I took one filmmaking class and now I'm a genius at Shut up, Lorenzo Di Bonaventura.
You took a master class at best.
God,
that's not even a film class.
Man, I did the Ron Howard master class. I had a subscription to master class just because I got MZ and master class to see what the difference was, because they were on sale for Black Friday. I was like, you know, $100. I was like, sure, why not?
Right.
Yeah, basically, Ron Howard's masterclass was a couple of hours of him going, you know, you plan stuff out. Oh, is that all?
See, and the one Ron Howard film that I really like is The Paper, with Michael Keaton and Randy Quaid, and you haven't seen it. Of course not.
I've not seen it. No,
it's a good one.
I'm trying to think. There is a movie he did that I really liked.
What, Backdraft?
Backdraft?
Yeah, I liked Backdraft. He did that.
I have not seen Backdraft, but that's a firefighter movie. Yeah. Man, what did Ron Howard do that I really liked?
Cocoon?
Haven't seen Cocoon.
Oh.
Cinderella Man. I love the Cinderella Man movie.
Yes,
That one,
yes.
My wife and I, we constantly quote to each other. Anytime one of us is caught doing something like, a little sneaky, trying to mess with each other, or whatever, we'll just like put our hands in our lap and go, "I'm being good. I'm being quiet. I'm being have." that's how you know the other person is up to no good.
Oh, and then Ron Howard did A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe too.
That's right. Yeah, he did. He also did Solo: A Star Wars Story, which has a whole storyline about Lando Calrissian being a robosexual, and I'll never forgive him for that. Because what? I have good news, though. Galaxy Quest is getting a 4K Blu-ray release this December, and I will be buying it. So they're going to have...
I do like that movie.
A new 4K restoration of the film, which could be good, could be bad, depends on, some restorations. They try to do the AI upscaling. But it's going to have Dolby Vision and HDR presentation of the film, Dolby Atmos audio track, which I won't be able to take advantage of because I have two crappy speakers on my TV. Oh. And then it's got a... hours of legacy special features, so all these special features that would have been on past releases will be included here, and I think that's great. I love special features on DVDs. Like Spider-Man 2, I spent more time watching the special features than I probably spent watching the movie. I had the 2-disc collector's edition in widescreen, and it was my pride and joy. I would have killed my older brother for that DVD.
Oh, that's cool.
And I did.
Well, not that you want to kill your older brother for that, but...
Did you see the trailer for Mickey 17?
Yes, they actually showed us about a half hour of that in Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was the title of the book is Mickey 7.
Something like that, yeah.
And Bong Joon-ho made the joke that, well, I wanted to kill Rob Pattinson 10 more times, so that's why it's Mickey 17.
That's great. That's
yeah,
a great quote.
It's kind of a long, it's about 2 hours and 20-minute runtime on that
Is
thing.
It really?
Yeah, it's long, but... It just looks so fascinating to me, and it's an original story. It looks really cool. It looks like it has that balance between comedy, seriousness, which he does very well. Like Parasite was the best example of that.
Yeah, he also does it a lot in The Host. There's some surprisingly funny moments in that movie. Yeah, if you haven't seen Bong Joon-ho's The Host, watch it.
It's awesome.
Oh my gosh, so
one
good.
of the best monster movies in the past 20 years.
This incredible creature feature, and the special effects are great, and the direction is fantastic, and
then went on to do Parasite too, which got all those awards. But it was funny watching him talk about it in Vegas because his English still isn't that great, so he has an interpreter standing right next to him. So when he needs to go back to Korean, and the guy starts writing stuff down feverishly and it's really funny, but. From what him and Pattinson were together on stage, and they sound like they had a great time making this movie too. So I know it comes out in January. Really looking forward to it. January is actually starting to fill up really fast.
Yeah, it is.
Because
a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah, Paddington 3. The Dogman movie is coming out.
Yeah.
And the trailer for it is on. I put it on Transformers.
Flight Risk got
pushed up to January.
Not Flight Plan, which is the the
which is what movie. I keep wanting to call it.
Well, because I almost did it this time because I was
Jodie
don't
Foster film sucks too. I hate it. But so that's good that Hollywood's taking notice of this and filling up those normal dead times and dead months with some really quality product that's going to pay off. I know. Transformers right now for this week isn't selling well. Next week with Wild Robot, we're going to get hit big time, and we're having it on 3 screens.
Really surprising to me that Transformers 1 is not packing it in. It seems very odd to me, but
I think
did Rise of the Beast do that much damage?
It might have, but everybody's still going to Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah, that's
and
true.
Beetlejuice is hanging in there. It's doing really well.
Good. I mean, it's a good movie. I heard, so Red Letter Media, they're YouTube, they're huge reviewers. They do these things. They were very kind of critical of it being a rehash of a bunch of stuff and everything. And I was just look, it was a rehash, but in some ways, but it was fun. And I think, I appreciated it for being fun. The other thing too, is that they've been reviewing movies much longer than I have. So I'm not nearly as jaded. Except if we start talking about The Hobbit, and then I will become the most jaded person in the history of mankind. When I worked here, it was literally people started avoiding me on my shift because they knew I was going to start ranting about The Hobbit at some point.
I saw I never saw The Hobbit.
Good for you.
I just never did.
Just don't. Just don't watch the Bakshi version of The Hobbit because that's great.
like we said before, we're looking forward to that War of
War of the
Rohirrim in December.
Yeah,
more than Kraven the Hunter.
Well,
and they come out the same week
for different reasons. War of the Rohirrim.
I think we're gonna have to watch Kraven the Hunter just to see how bad it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, you're not getting out of that. Don't even trick yourself for a second, man. Every Sony Spider-Man related release, we are right there opening night, just dead center of the theater, eyes glued to the screen. If you have to pee, I'm sorry, I'm not letting you out. Like, you think you're gonna take a nap? I'll reach over and slap you. I don't care. I'll just wake up. It's Kraven.
So to mention too, the other things that we're seeing this week too. Sunday night we're going to go see Wolves.
That's right. Yeah, very excited about that.
But the George Clooney, Brad Pitt film to see why Sony is so stupid. And then the other, we're going to watch the Christopher Reeve documentary on Wednesday.
Yes.
So that's probably all going to be included in next
I was so
podcast.
excited for that. I showed up a week early.
Yeah.
I got this text from you that said, "Hey, Wednesday at this," and I was like, "Okay," and then my brain just went, "That's this Wednesday," and then I showed up and I was like, "I am here," and you said 4, and I was like, "Superman?" I was like, "Crap, that's next weekend." You're like, "Yeah," I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah,
and I was about to start making them fill my popcorn bucket at the concession stand and stuff. I was like, "Hold off on the popcorn, bud."
You could have filled it up and taken it home.
I could have, but I needed to get out of there with my shame as quickly as possible.
Or help you, or start taking the Oreo popcorn that's selling like crazy.
Is it really?
Yes.
I should try that.
We got 2 cases for the opening weekend, like last weekend is when we started it. We were gone in 2 days.
Really?
It was gone. Here's the thing about it too, coming from AMC where we had that and it did really well.
Yeah.
And everybody coming in here was like, well, AMC's not selling it anymore and we're glad you are. And I'm like, yeah, screw you, AMC.
Gotcha. That's right. A reasonable trailer package without a ridiculous amount of ads shoved in your face for 40 minutes and Oreo popcorn.
And then
suck it, literally everyone else.
the next gourmet one that I pre-ordered the other day is going to start late October, early November is Butterfinger popcorn.
Oh, Andy. Andy, you've given me type 2 diabetes just with the words. Oh, Andy, no.
I have a feeling this is going to be big.
Oh, goodness. All right. I'm going to be big after it comes out. Donald Glover says Star Wars isn't fun anymore. Hopes the Lando movie can change that. Look, they already made you say you had sex with the robot. I don't care. And then John Cena is going to be behind the wheel of Sam Hargrave's Matchbox movie. I have no idea if that means he's driving Matchbox cars. Does he get shrunken down as a little man, film. or is he like? Is it a movie about the phenomenon of Matchbox? I didn't copy down any additional information. I just wanted to say John Cena is still acting, and we are, as a society, are allowing this.
It's supposed to be a Matchbox movie, like not a documentary about Matchbox cars. It's a Matchbox movie.
Do you want to place a bet on tiny John Cena? At the
what,
size
how bad
of
it's
a Matchbox. No, just teeny tiny little John Cena stepping into an actual like perfectly sized Matchbox car and driving around on a tabletop. And then he's like, this really intense chase. And it's like, and he's like getting chased by people. Guns are being fired, whatever. And then it pops out to a wide shot, and it's just a little car going across the table.
Oh, so it's going to be like Speed Racer was.
Maybe. Except Speed Racer might have something interesting happening.
Yeah, but it's not going to have the Wachowskis.
The Wachowskis don't even have the Wachowskis anymore.
Yeah. There's a bizarre... I want to see a documentary about that.
I don't care. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to say anything about that. All right. Well, I think that was all the news that I had written down. I guess we should wrap it up there. Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.
We appreciate you very much. The biggest compliment that you can give us is to leave a review on iTunes. That helps people find the podcast the more highly rated we are. And share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Hey, if you hate it, share it with someone you hate. I think that just... send the link. Just send the link.
And you'll see it in our pre-show ad at Grand Avenue Theater.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I guess we'll just leave it there. Remember, you can find us on the socials at Grand Review Pod. Let us know what you thought about Never Let Go if you saw it. And if you weren't planning to see it and this convinced you, you owe us $10. And
no, just buy something at the concession stand.
Yeah. Because I benefit from that directly. Thanks, Andy, for nothing. Just kidding. All righty. Well, I guess with that means that's it for this episode, and we will see you
At the movies.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.